Now we're going to look at animating the volume of this audio track that we looked at in the last movie. Now, if you're familiar with a lot of digital audio workstation software, such as Apple's Logic Pro, then this should be very similar because it works in the same way. At the top of the audio mixer panel, you'll see these write modes. That's what they're called here, these 5 different modes. And by default, it's set to read, which basically means it reads the data that's there, and there's no data there by default, so nothing really happens. But if we change this to write mode, then what happens is that as we adjust these faders and even the pan controls during playback, Premiere will record those settings. This is great if you really want dynamic control over the volume of a particular track. If you want it to go up, down a little bit, and then go midway and change all kind of crazy ways, you can set it to write, and it will automatically do whatever you do while it's recording once it's done. Now, there's a little trick here. There's a little setting that's kind of frustrating that might give you some headache, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. First, let's go ahead and animate this. I'm going to back up a little bit, and what's going to happen is with the angry customer phone call, I want to animate the audio coming in slowly and slowly rise. And then right about here in our timeline, I kind of want it to get to about negative 12 decibels or so, somewhere in that neck of the woods, and just kind of hang out there for the duration of the sequence. Now, I'm telling you this because once it gets to that maximum volume, there's really no need for us to continue listening to this sequence. We could just stop recording, but that's where the problem comes. So let's go ahead and play with this, and then we'll see the problem after we do it. Make sure this is set to write mode. Let's go ahead and play back.
PSP Corporation, this is Christy Brown. How can I help you?
Your service sucks. I'm paying you to do a job, so do it. Okay, so that's about good right there. Probably could have done a better job manning the faders, but good enough. And here, I want you to pay special attention to this. It's 17 seconds and 28 frames in is when I stopped it. That's going to come in handy in just a moment. Also notice that the write mode has automatically been changed to touch. And we'll get back to that in just a second. Let's go back here, and I want to play this back. Actually, I'm going to take the mode to read. So it just reads the data and doesn't write any more new data. So we could watch these faders move as we play it back. Sucks. I'm paying you to do a job, so do it. So you can see all that automation I added just by manually moving this thing has been built into Premiere. However, if we go back to after 17 seconds and 28 frames, we'll notice that the volume all of a sudden drops back to its original value, and it's exactly where we stopped it. It all of a sudden drops off. The reason why is that the automation mode was switched from write to touch. And touch is different than write in that once you stop fiddling with the control, it automatically resets back to its original value. And its original value was negative 34.1 when we started. And so because the mode switched to touch, it went back to its original value. That's not what we want. You might be wondering, why the heck did it do that? Well, it did that because of a setting. If you go to the audio mixer panel flyout menu, this little dilly bobby right there, we click that, and then we go to this bottom area, and you can see that switch to touch after write is enabled, which means that once we stop recording our automation for write in the write mode, then it automatically switches to touch. For that, I say boo. I don't like that. So I'm going to go ahead and click this to switch that off. And now when I record and I stop, then that value will end there. Now, I should also point out why we have this clip selected. I go to the Effect Controls panel, open up Volume, open up Level here, and if we look at the entire timeline here, I'll just go ahead and hit the Home key and go back to the beginning of the track. You'll see that the volume level never really changes. So it's not adjusting the level of the audio clip, it's adjusting it in the audio mixer. What this means is that you can adjust the clip volume without adjusting the audio mixer volume, because keep in mind the mixer refers to the track, the entire track, not just of the clip. So I can still go in here and adjust the clip, maybe make it fade in, fade out, take the overall volume up or down, and it doesn't affect the mix of the track as we've played with here. Now, I should also point out, if you want to just fiddle with the volume and not worry about the automation, like you like the automation, maybe you want to keep it where it is, but you want to still kind of just temporarily examine the file, you could take the automation mode to off, and that'll allow you just to go in and play with it to your heart's content and not really affect the automation. So I can go in here, And then when I go back and preview this, you could see that the automation is where we left it and nothing has been changed. But if we then go back to read, it's going to read our automation and it's going to do exactly what we programmed earlier. So it might take a little getting used to, but the cool thing about this is there's no keyframes. You just manually set the volume where you want it and when, and Premiere will remember it.